TOWKA Talks, episode 4. I am joined today by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Johnny Ruiz.
Thank you, sir, for having me on. Very, very nice morning. A little humid, but we're ready to take on the day. So, Jonathan, what do we have in store for today besides an amazing day at the shop?
So I want to learn a little bit more about Johnny. Obviously, I've known him for a couple years now. Well, not obviously, I should say. I've known you now for a couple years. Known a little bit about what you do in your day-to-day life, but also kind of just wanted to share a little bit more about what your passions are, being in Generation Z, and then what your ambitions are, your goals are, just to try to help whoever's watching this, help them kind of have that right mindset as far as pursuing whatever they want to in life, whether it be in health, fitness, in their career. Because obviously, you being 23 now, right? You kind of have a one step ahead of a lot of people, I would say, that at least I've met or know. So I just wanted to get to know you a little bit better. So why don't you just start by sharing with the audience a little bit about where you started from as far as where you grew up and then your childhood, what that was like, a couple events that kind of stood out to you as far as whether they be positive or negative, and then anything else that comes to mind.
I'd say I wasn't really impacted, I guess, by where I was, just who I was by and who I was around. I think more or less, I'd say my biggest turning point in my life was my fitness aspect because when I was younger, I did a lot of sports, and then about 8 or 9 years old, I kind of stopped doing that. I was just kind of goofing around, doing really nothing. And then from that point, I gained a lot of weight up until I was like about 13, and I could see how it was reflecting on my, not really necessarily my health, because I was still very active as a person, but just my weight. So I was, just a bigger person, and I could feel. You can always feel when someone's looking at you or someone's kind of judging you for like who you are, and so it's so funny because I one time just kind of stumbled across. His name is Sean T. So he is still a personal trainer, and he made a bunch of different workout videos. So I started with one called T25. So 25 minutes of mainly just just body weight workouts, just a bunch of cardio, abs, and being able to push yourself for these whole 25 minutes. And that was it for the day. I did that. I got that for my birthday. So I started that on my 14th birthday before I went into high school because I wanted to change who I was. I was training for cross country at the same time, so 5 times a week I was, at the time I was still big, so I was still doing like 15 miles a week, which is really nothing in terms of like UIL mileage. So started there. 3 months passed by. I had lost 35 pounds. So,
Wow.
And grew 4.5 inches. And to this day, I still think if I wasn't big, I probably would have grown 1 more inch, which would have been great, but nothing I can do now. So from there, I continued that passion. I worked out 3 times a day. So it was run in the morning and some weight room. It was after school practice, and then from there, I'd give myself, I got home, I ate, I'd give myself like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I was on this really strict regimen and schedule on myself. I didn't have alarms, I didn't have anything. It was just my body felt it and I needed it. So 6:30 run, 4:30 run, and then 6:30 again, another 25-minute workout, and then be in bed by 10. So just this really hard regimen on my body. But it was a lot of cardio based, so I didn't see large results in muscle gain, but cardiovascularly, I had like a 42 beat per minute. Most of my physicians thought I was dying. So it was like, I changed my whole life around, and no one recognized me from 4 months before. So I'd say that was my biggest turning point, and that's where I continue to see myself and motivate myself, because at a young age I was able to do something like that. So I sure as hell can do that for the rest of my life.
Do you feel like that at such a young age transforming your fitness and the way you look, did that give you a confidence that you had never felt before?
Oh, definitely, and not even confidence, but like understanding nutrition and understanding like a mentality that was dedication. And a lot of people thought I was coached or that I was instructed by someone else at a time, and to their surprise, when I had told them no, it was something I saw and I really wanted to pursue that, and I hated feeling the way I did. And 30, 40, 50-year-old people had very much large doubts on, oh no, there had to be an influence besides yourself, because sad to say, they are in that predicament where they couldn't push themselves. And of course, day-to-day life takes up so much, and I see that all the time. But in my mind, I was like, I have 25 minutes a day. I can go and do that. I can get up and do 25 minutes. And sure, maybe you have work and you got to go shower or do this or that. But if you set an hour of your time, sure, you may lose like maybe some of these other activities that you like or you want to do. Like you want to play games or you want to go to a baseball game or whatever it is, right? You will not be alive long enough later if you don't take care of yourself to do those things. Or let's say you're sitting in the stands and they're uncomfortable because you were uncomfortable in your skin. Nothing you do will be better when you're unhealthy. So I looked at it that way, and I continue to look at it that way. Yeah, and I continued that for like 2 years, and then just more things in life kind of got in the way, and I kind of put that down. But actually, this past week, I've kind of started picking that up. I'm not doing the same videos. I actually can't find that box that I had them all, because I did notice I did plateau. Like I did everything in those videos twice as fast as they were doing, with better form, with more reps and just things like that. And I wasn't getting better, so I did transfer to different videos, harder things. Insanity was one of the other ones, something very hard. 30 minutes of a harder workout, which was super great. And then again plateaued because you start to get used to that stuff. But now I'm mainly weight training. I'm definitely focused on lower distance speed, just with different research and different things that I find. That's kind of where I want to go aspect-wise.
So all this being said, as far as your fitness and where you started from, what your like baseline was, did this transfer over this mindset into your dating life and then into your work life?
I'd say so, because everything that I wanted to do had, I've already accomplished something big in that aspect physically, which means mentally I had to do something for myself too. So when I had looked at these parts of my body and these parts of my life I was able to change, I could definitely learn something new and put that into my efforts and studies. Dating is just one of those things that you never can predict. It's not a regimen, so it's like, even if you, and I'd went through that a good bit, like you put the time and the effort, but it is always 50-50. So of course there's the argument that some people need to put more at one time or this or that, but you shouldn't have to be that way 3-6 months in. You shouldn't have to feel like you're pushing the wagon the entire time. So you should reconsider who you're with if that's the case, because at first you should be smooth sailing. If there's problems already, it only gets rockier. So there's that aspect. But you should have someone that has a similar mindset, maybe not like fitness-wise, or maybe they don't do things for income the same way, but if you can still see that they're passionate about something, and when they are, they put everything into that, then that's a good sign, I would say.
Now you're engaged, and how long have you and your fiance been engaged now?
January 1st of 23, so now it's a year and almost 4 months, because it's mid-May. Mid-April,
Now,
almost May.
now dating is hard for everybody, both sides of the coin. But do you feel like there was advice in your life that was given to you about women or about just dating in general, about finding your, like, quote unquote the one, or your person you want to spend the rest of your life with, that you heard a long time ago, recently, that you basically like took and ran with, so to speak? I don't know. It kind of sounds cliche-ish, but was there anything advice-wise that either your dad, shout out Ray, mom Esmeralda, or anybody else that you've heard in your life that you held on to and cherished, and then that helped you find your soon-to-be wife?
Hmm. No, I started dating really seriously when I was young because, again, uh, maturity-wise, I was like, no, I don't want to do this big dating thing, figure out whoever, whatever, this and that. Like, I was only focused on being compatible with someone and making it work. So I never really took anyone's advice because I knew it would never really matter to me. Because everyone has their advice is opinion and their success is different. So I had always done things head first my way, and I never, like, there was never unsuccessful times in terms of stuff. Maybe just more or less like having to learn that person more than thinking. It's definitely not a map. You can't figure it out that way. So you have to kind of cross each bridge differently. So no, I would say no. There was nothing that someone said that stuck with me to where I was like, oh, I should always do this or that, because some person may find that like just weird or too much. So some people don't like normal interaction dating stuff, like they're more low key, and then there's other people that do or need more than just normal.
I did actually, something just came to mind. I did want to give you a RIZZ report. If you guys haven't watched the last video we posted, it was me, Johnny, and then young Kyle. He did use it recently, and he
Oh.
was. I'm trying to keep a straight face saying all this, but he did use it, so I wanted to share that
Hell
in the
yeah.
video with you in person. So yeah, is there any advice that you would give on this topic to anybody watching this, no matter what generation they are, but especially the younger guys and girls, that comes to mind for you?
Just be fun and playful. Um, if that's not you, then that means don't be with someone that's fun and playful. Because if you're a serious person, don't try to be with a goofy person, because that means you're going to be upset when they try to be funny with you and you don't understand it, unless you're really open to learning. Because dating, you're not going to find a perfect match. You are going to make a perfect match, and you work towards that. So if you have enough in common to where you are happy with this person, but you can also sit yourself down and say, hey, this is something I want to work, and this is the person I wanted to work with. What can I change about myself to make them happier? Not, of course, like your appearance or your actual self, but like maybe the way you look at stuff, maybe your perspective, right? Like, oh, I know that she likes to go go run in the morning, and she's been asking me for 3 months. Maybe I shouldn't ignore it because that's rude. Or maybe she wants to go, to Hobby Lobby for 1 hour. Again, think of it as like it's only 1 hour out of your time, and you're gaining someone's happiness from that you will then spend your life with. So think of it in that perspective of you can always make up that time another day. And if you're too busy, you need to communicate. Like, hey, let's do this another day, but don't continue to push things off. You will have to, keep your word, or, of course that's dishonest, and you're the problem then.
Do you now we've we've known each other, like I said in the very beginning, for a couple years now because I came over from the dark side, from another running store to the current one that we are both employed at. Shout out to the Generals for your service, for employment, and for helping serve the community of North Texas. Thank you for your service.
Shout out the creek. Come on by.
So, all that being said, do you feel like in the few years that you've been working in retail specifically that you've learned a lot along the way? Because retail is a very hard industry to work in because you're working with people nonstop. Some are good, some are bad. And then obviously, you learn about discipline, about time management, about responsibility, about work ethic, and all those other things. Is there anything that you specifically have learned with working in this industry and with working here?
Industry in general, you never know who you come across. You can't treat someone the same as the other person. And this all comes back to learning to be socially open. Because if you are stuck on trying to treat everyone the same way, like, oh, this is how I do it, this is who I am, you will be stuck relationship-wise, friendship-wise, as well as occupation-wise. As much as people hate to say it, like, oh, I'm a great worker, well, you suck at talking to people. You can't be open, you're rude, you believe everything you do is right and there's no wrong. Being able to admit that you made a mistake is going to take you a long way, because someone can trust that you are honest, like, oh, I did make this mistake, what can I do to be better? It's just nicer on your part. They're going to think highly of you. I definitely say I've learned how to speak to different people. You can read different social cues a little easier, and you'll also learn how to break those people down when they are kind of rude, figuring out their tone of, what makes them laugh or what makes them happy. Then they'll connect with you more. Of course, that jumps into like a sales pitch thing. You don't have to do that. You can learn to use those same skills in connecting with different bosses, connecting with different jobs, connecting with people, and that jumps to relationships. It's not advice. It's honestly just a fact. If you're able to pick up on certain cues and I guess you could say mimic. If you can mimic those to where they feel comfortable with you, you can then mix your water and oil, even though you know that that's not possible. It's just an example of at first you're probably floating above them until you're able to make that better connection.
So, real quick, speaking on this topic particularly, what is one funny story in the time that you've been working in retail, and what's one really, like, I don't know, you had a really bad interaction with a customer in the beginning, but then you turned it around somehow, some way, to where it became like a memorable one, if anything comes to mind, that you can share with the audience?
First, like, kind of bad one, I'd say, was COVID time. We had a guy come in. Obviously, people were new to the mask, but we had to enforce it. So, told him, hey man, I'll help you outside if you'd like, but the store is closed on the inside if you don't want to wear a mask. Plenty of people didn't want to wear a mask, but they knew what they wanted, and they'd let me go get it and bring it out, and they'd pay for it. But if they weren't that way, they'd leave. One in particular said that he did a lot of woodworking, and it made no sense to me because they have to wear respirators anyway. If they're around that, you have to wear protective gear. You're cutting a lot of stuff, especially inside if you're not outside. So it didn't make sense to me that he was not open to the fact of just trying to do something to just get, we provided the mask, we provided everything they needed. So it wasn't like they were stuck in a position where I don't even have one, I can't. He was just super mad, saying he was asthmatic, like that we're a problem, and cussing at us, and I was just like, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you. uh, you know, and he wound up coming around 5 minutes later, apologizing, seeing that he was wrong. He wound up being a real cool guy after that, but of course, uh, that turned better, but he was definitely a worse type of customer because, um, you're basically telling other people at that point, like, oh, I don't care if you get sick, and that goes back to the whole thing of, oh, that's fake or whatever, or, this or that. Even if it is not your cup of tea, it's something that was enforced by the law. So you figure it out or you get out. So again, we're all trying to live. So let's do what we need to. And then one that was memorable. I think I have a bunch of those because we have regular customers all the time. We just connect with those people, and then they come back, and you just know them by name. You know everything about them, and they tell other people, and they bring more of their friends. So it's like when you're able to make someone feel at home, they'll always return.
Do you feel like, just in closing this, that everything that you've been through in life has basically like helped you in a positive way? Like nothing has held you back. You have no regrets. You're living your best life. For anybody out there, again, like specifically who's watching this, who may be so down in the dumps that they feel like giving up, that they're lost, it's hopeless, nobody understands me. In this particular generation especially, I've heard so much stats-wise to where a lot are mentally ill, depressed, suicidal, lonely. What is one piece of advice or words of wisdom that comes to heart that you want to share with leaving with this person watching?
I'd say I definitely have things I regret. It's that I wish I worked harder at some things, but I'm lucky enough that I can still go back on those opportunities and do better. So if don't be afraid to look like a failure or be a loser, because at one point you weren't always the best at what you were doing, and you were open to being bad at it. So think of the same thing in life. Go for the job you want. Learn if you know that let's just say you have nothing to lose by trying to get this job. Go for it. You're going to get fired. That's fine. You have more jobs under your belt. You can say that you've been in different places. You can express different things. You'll learn more from that experience. Even if you didn't make it, but you spent 6 months there, you'll carry that to the next place, because each thing is going to give you a heads up on everything, and you'll be a leg up in front of the guy that was afraid to do nothing because you were able to do something. So there should be no point to quit, because you don't gain anything from quitting. You become a bigger loser. It's okay to be a failure in departments, because that shows that you're trying to get better.
Wise words from a wise man. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. Follow along, because I'm going to continue to make more episodes like this on the TOWKA Talks podcast. I want to again thank Mr. Ruiz here for joining me. It's always a pleasure, brother, to see you. If you guys haven't watched any other videos with Johnny, go and check them out. The links will be in the description below. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.
Yeah.